Hello, my name is Arthur, and in this video we're going to carry on with the moving platform. So I did find a solution to the jumping on the platform while it's going up issue, and we'll be working on the underneath the platform issue. So we'll just have a look at what's going on and kind of how it works. So now when the platform's going up, he's able to jump. And I found the issue was that he was sticking to the platform. So yeah, that's probably more a Godot issue than anything. It's a pretty common problem. So how it got solved was, well, sort of a little makeshifty. I've seen it done with really complicated formulas, but basically what we do is at the point that he's jumping, so this is right in get input, it checks the floor velocity, and if it is less than 0, so that says that the floor velocity is moving. Then I take position Y, the actual Y position of the player, and add the floor velocity times delta. This is just what I came up with to come up with a number that's using the floor velocity in a way to generate a small number. So right now, as my platform is set up, it generates around minus 2.3. So it's moving the position by minus 2.3. Then when the velocity for the jump is added, or applied to the velocity y, I've changed it to plus equal jump speed, and then I've also added in the floor velocity. So when there's a floor velocity, he's going to jump a little bit higher. It's like he gets a super jump. So when he's going upwards, he'll get a super jump from it. And we could change this. So we'll just compare. We'll look at the super jump kind of thing and then take that out and see what it looks like. So when the platform is going up, if he jumps, he gets a little more height, and he gets a little more height there at the end of the ramp. So kind of a super jump. But if we change this so that it's jump speed and floor velocity, but not velocity y being added in, like it's not additive, it'd become questionable whether he'll even make it to I actually missed the point where he jumped after the platform had stopped, so it's not a fair comparison. So he jumps and jumps, and now he's not able to make it to that platform. So I kind of like it with the kind of little cheaty super jump. So we'll leave the super jump thing in for now. But that's how it works. Velocity y already has the velocity of the upward motion, and then we're adding a second value of that upward motion when we make it plus equals. So that's the solution on getting him to jump. It's just moving him up off of the ramp a little bit before the jump is applied. It's not 100% perfect in platform. If I was to change the time of platform to something that's too low, it became a little bit unreliable and he started sticking. So it's kind of a little bit of juggling the platform movements in a way that works. Either that or find a better formula to apply that little bit of position change to help him to be unstuck from the platform as it's rising. So now we'll go on to the platform. We want to make a bottom for the platform to move away from, so a spiky bottom to the platform. So we'll just make something like that in GIMP. So we'll start Control N, and let's start with a small graphic of 16 by 64. And what I'll be aiming to do is make the spike first. I'll fill that with transparency and see how that works out. Now, I've pre-found the gradient that was used to make the original block. And that's not working. So let's get rid of that. And I think that before it actually started with a white color to make that gradient work. So when we have a white color, it's going to do something different than it did before. So that's close enough. Now we'll select all, and we're going to look in the transform tools. The perspective transform tool can be pretty good way to bend something. So let's see, we're going to want view snap to canvas edges. So we'll zoom in, and we're going to use the measurements up here. I'm going to move the corners along the canvas edge. So I'll move this one to 6 because we don't want to try to shrink it right in. But we do want to try to keep it on the canvas edge if we can. So I'll move this one to 6. And I'll move this one to 10, which is -6. And it looks a little bit off of the canvas edge. I don't know why it's doing that. Then we'll just transform that. We'll make that a new layer. Oops. I pressed 1 on the number pad, and that kind of changed things. So that looks pretty reasonable. I don't know what kind of transparency is there. Let's check and see if there's too much transparency there. We'll edit and we'll fill with the red to see if red is showing through the middle. And it isn't, so we'll just undo that, Control Z, and flatten the image. So we're going to merge visible layers because that will clip the biggest layer to the original layer and make them both the same size. There's a little bit of transparency at the bottom, but that can be ignored. So now we'll select Control A to select all and copy that. we're going to want a grid. So let's go snap to grid, show grid, image, configure grid, and I think we'll want to configure the grid at 16, which won't do a lot for us right now. Then we'll go image, canvas size, and we'll multiply the width by 4. The chain is broken, so it won't apply to the height, and we'll just get a wider canvas. Now we can get the move tool and start pasting. So Control V to paste. And these will just snap into position. So we snap those into position. Select all. First off, we want to anchor that layer, so we're dealing in one layer. So Control A, Control C to copy that. And then we're going to expand the canvas again. So canvas size, width times 3. It will end up in the right place. So we can just minus, Control paste, pick that up and slide it over, Control paste, pick that up and slide it over. So that's an easy way to procedurally generate something that looks like spikes, and it's in the color scheme that our other one is. Now I'm going to want the spikes to stick up a little bit out of the pit, so 64 high is not going to work to do that. So we're going to change the canvas size again. This time we're going to add 16 to the height. So we'll resize that. It'll appear on the bottom. Let's anchor our layer here. R for the rectangle select tool, and we'll select this region. We're going to need a new layer. And the gradient tool. So we'll put this gradient in, enter. We'll change the opacity of this layer. So we'll drop it down a bunch, and maybe even a little bit further. And that's all right there. And then we'll duplicate this layer. So we'll duplicate it, and we'll drop it down to the most behind layer. So that's the one that's behind everything. And we'll bring its opacity to 100%. Now nothing is transparent anymore. So we can take that, merge visible layers, select none, that doesn't really matter, and we'll export. So we'll export that into the project folder, assets, blocks, we have platform. So this will be the platform base, the base of the platform. We'll export that and export that. Then we can just close down GIMP. If people want to, they could save the project file, but me, I just dispose of things like that, and if I need to do the procedure like that, I do a procedure like that a second time. So we're at 15 minutes. I can carry on. I can do uploads longer than 15 minutes. So let's try to assemble it quickly, and then in the next video we'll do some scripting. So we're going to add in a static body to be the physical part of the base. Give it its image, its collision shape. Let's see, oh, collision shape's up there. Then we'll add in an area 2D, and that will be the damage area for it to inflict damage. So on the area 2D, we'll also give that a collision shape. We'll come up with some names for those later. So we have platform base. We're going to want to put an offset on that. And the offset would be 64 down plus an offset for the additional height. So more or less we want it sitting where we want it to sit where the row of blocks that the platform would be sitting on. We want to sit it so it's exactly in that spot. So we could use a sprite offset or an offset on the static body itself. So let's just offset the position of the static body itself. So position Y plus 64. And then I think the math works out that should be a plus 64 plus another 8, which would be 72. No, that's wrong. 64 and then minus an additional 8, which would be 56, but we'll just use the math. And that should be sitting exactly where the tile underneath would sit. If we wanted to hide the fact of that, we would have to build some kind of a mask. But this is going to visually show that there is a spike belt. But what we could do is we can raise that up so that it's behind. And if we wanted a hidden one, we would use something like the sprite for the platform in this position, and then just make it disappear when the platform is found, kind of thing. So from there, we'd need to deal with the collision shape. So the collision shape would be a rectangle. And where it would be 32. For its bounds, and I believe the value should be 94 for its x extents. And I'm going to check on the extents for this one. Yeah, 94. 94 leaves it a little bit in from the graphic. So if I was to use this to also to do something like inset the platform and further hide it, the platform would be able to land in the inset. So it's a little bit shy of the actual width. Then the area 2D, that's not quite in the right place. So the collision shape on the area 2D, first off we have to get this into the right place. So that would be 32, no, a transform plus 16 or 8. We'll try 8 first. Plus 8. Plus 8. Oh, I guess we're just starting with 8 and not using math. So that's sitting where it should be. And then the area 2D needs to be sitting up in the protruding spikes. So we'll turn off the visibility on this so we can see the protruding spikes. Did we set up bounds on this? No. We have this empty new rectangle shape. We'll make the bounds on this 96. That's the full length of the platform. And then 16 in half is 8. And then a little space in between this and that. And then we could move the position of the area. That would be something like minus 32. Plus a little bit. And that would be the damage zone, or the area that tells the enemy to turn back, or well, we'll figure something out to make it either repel a block outwards, or if a block gets pushed on it, to shoot it out the other side or something like that. Probably repel it outwards. So that'll be in the next video when we start giving this some code and making it work. And until then, take care.